Welcome. Whoa.
That was weird.
Welcome. Welcome. Revelations with me. My name is Kid Revel. Episode 16. We've been going at it for a while, bro. Episode 16. Feels like we just started this shit a month ago. Excuse the voice crack at the beginning of this episode. Clearly, I'm still going through puberty, if you haven't noticed. Yeah. Revelations, episode 16. Welcome. If this is your first time here, thank you for coming. I know Staying Home is in the chat. I saw him in the chat a second ago. If you're still here, what's up, bro? It's good to see you. I think this is your first time watching the show, but I'm not exactly sure. If it is, thanks for coming, bro. That means a lot to me, for real. Anybody else that's here watching this for the first time, whether you're watching this after the fact or during the live stream, thanks for coming. And if you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back. You know, I appreciate y'all fucking with this show. Just really doing it for fun and for just to keep an environment where we can keep chatting about stuff and I can keep spreading the knowledge or the tips that I learned from doing this music shit on the day-to-day. So thank you for coming, and we'll get right to it. Don't forget to like, if you haven't yet, like this video. I'm trying to finesse the algorithm. Subscribe if you haven't, and hit the notification bell if you want to receive notifications and know whenever we go live or post anything else. What's up, Ben?
Jesse's here. Staying Home is saying what's up, and Darian wanted to let you know that Kid Revel likes boys, and that's it.
I support every sexuality, but I would like to say for the record, Terror, that I do not like boys.
He also says he loves you.
I like men. What's up, Staying Home? My boy. We got to get on some music soon. What's up, Jesse? The usual suspect. The guy. He's always here. My boy. Yeah, I would just like to say that Lil Terror's gay, and let's get on with the show. So, what is the name of today's episode? What do we call today's episode?
Time is money.
Time is money. Also, let me know if you can hear yourself on that mic, because I can't hear you here. You can't hear yourself, so
It's okay. We'll just roll with it. Don't worry.
turn your fan and power off. Turn the little switch off under the right mic, and turn it up. And just try talking.
How about now?
I'm not getting anything.
It doesn't matter.
Anyway, let's get on with the show. You know, show must go on regardless. Ben's here with me. Wally's in the studio. Ben's just gonna be here for, technical use. He's my Jamie, if you've ever watched the Joe Rogan podcast. So yeah, let's get on with it. Thanks for coming, everybody. Revelations, episode 16. Time is money. So why did we call today's episode Time is Money? So I put a poll up earlier today on my IG, and it was just, asking what you guys wanted to hear about, and you guys said time management. That was just, I did either time management or talk about practicing and, what was the word I used? I used compounding, because at some point I'm going to have an episode where I talk about practice and compounding and practicing every day and just allowing that to really benefit your skills and not necessarily thinking that, oh, I should be good at this in a day, or I can put 6 hours a day once a week and I'll be really good at this thing. You really have to do things every day to get comfortable with them and to get to a point with these things where you're truly at a skill level that's comparable to the greats and the people who are doing it professionally, right? So regardless, y'all said time management. So I feel like that's an important subject to touch on, because a lot of people I know personally suck at managing their time, right? I won't put it lightly. And I've noticed that a lot. And I'm not going to say that I'm perfect or all my days are the most productive or I always get the most done every single day. But I certainly know for a fact that my time management has gotten much better over the years. It's gone from pretty much not giving a single fuck and just recording when I feel like it and dropping when I feel like it and posting when I feel like it, etc., to planning these things, not recording necessarily, but planning things months in advance, and also scheduling each day so that it counts and so that I know I've gotten something done every day, and I can go to sleep knowing that for a fact that I got this, and this done. Managing your time correctly and not, allowing things that aren't significant to take up too much of your time, and not allowing the things that are truly significant to take up very little time, or to take up less of your focus than they should be. So we're going to start off. You have the notes, right?
Yeah.
So what's the first bullet point we got?
So it's more about like why time management is important.
Okay.
And why things.
So yeah, I wanted to preface this by just talking about why I really think I feel like we do this with every episode. That's sort of one of these. I don't know what we would call this kind of episode. Like I'm almost like
Yeah,
it's.
no. I mean, maybe.
It's not like learning, because I'm not really teaching anything here. Like, I'm not literally teaching shit, but
No, I don't even. I would say like almost as a joke, like a TED talk.
yeah, I don't know. It's just more of a. I guess we're talking more about productivity, or more about life shit, rather than specific music things, or things that have to do with me specifically. They're more general episodes. So,
Tools for life.
in that lane, the whole time management thing. Why is it so important? Because there are people that seem to be able to not manage their time very well and get things done, right? Like, we all know those people who are pretty much, like, we know they're lazy motherfuckers, but they're still getting so much done just because they find the ways to work around things and work smarter rather than harder. And I'm not shitting on that in any way, but there are certain things that I think are impossible to avoid doing. So that would be like, here, I need to pull out the notes out on my phone myself, because I have more bullet points than I want you to just read off every time. But pretty much the reason I think it's so important is when you sit down after an entire day, right? However long you're awake, 16 hours, 12 hours, fucking 20 hours, however long you're awake. At the end of that day, you want to be able to sit down. You want to be able to go to sleep, knowing you did something, right? That you made that day count. You didn't just sit there for 16 hours and dick around, or even if you feel, because you can feel productive and not be productive. You know what I mean? You can come up with tasks that pretty much do nothing for your long-term goals and make you feel busy as fuck every day. I don't exactly know. I'm trying to think of an example for that. Do you have any examples for that? Do you have any ideas for that? Like I would just say learning about things that aren't relevant to your real life. Like whether that's like on YouTube, because you can just waste so much time in a day feeling productive and not actually getting shit done is kind of what I'm.
Yeah, you can fill your day with a lot of kind of meaningless, but to you can make the excuse for it being meaningful.
So I guess that could be more like shit like I don't want to name things that are like.
If I will, a lot of people say that they need
Time to relax, yeah, relaxation time, R&R.
4 hours watching
Yeah,
TV
yeah.
after they spend an hour working, or they need to take a 15-minute break after spending an hour doing chores or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, for sure. That's for sure. Yeah, a lot of people do that. I think that a lot of people come up with the excuse, and I made some more bullet points about this later in the later sort of subtopics of this episode. But a lot of people just somehow come to the conclusion that, having done having done their homework, having gone to work, having done whatever, like the most simple required tasks in your day are, that pretty much the rest of their day should be reserved for relaxation time and recharging for like whatever that is. And it's so crazy to me because I've been there for sure. I've been there where it's like after school I would pretty much, and I was a child, so it's not like I should have been fucking hustling my ass off and trading on the stock market or some shit. It's not like there's things that I was supposed to be doing, but I feel like people carry those habits into later life a lot. So it's certainly important to start structuring your days and start figuring out what you're spending too much time doing and what you're not spending enough time doing. and maybe what you're wasting time on because it's not something that requires as much time as it does. So for me, that's school. And apply this to your life. I don't want to say school is like the least important thing, but for me, the more important thing in my day is getting better at making music, because that's ultimately my career, right? I don't spend the majority of my day doing the school shit I do, because if you don't know, I go to school. I'm in my second year of college, and unless I have like something that's really unless my music is really feeding me, there's no reason for me to stop going, right? Like certain people will drop out and just kind of go all in, but I'm not at the point where that's necessary just yet, because like I said, I've figured out a way to manage my time to where I can still drop music all the fucking time and still do school. So regardless, for me, it feels like school is the least important, not the least important part of my day, but out of the important required things in my day, that's not as significant as making 2 or 3 beats and playing the guitar for an hour and a half and doing this and that and becoming better at the music. And so you have to make those determinations that everybody has those things that are required within their day, but you have to figure out what's the most important to you and to your future, and are you spending too little time doing that, for whatever reason that may be, and not really giving it the significance it deserves. And so my example is the music shit. So it's like I used to really not give the music the time it deserved. I would not make nearly enough music as I should be, or I should have been, had I wanted to be as good an artist as I aspire to be in the future. You got to put in the fucking hours for that. And for me, it was like, sometimes I would make 1 or 2 songs a week, and then the rest of my week was, going to school, working, etc. But that was my excuse, was that I have school and work. I don't have the energy for this music shit. I don't have the time for this music shit because I have so much homework, I have so much of this, I have so much of that. And that shit's all excuses. So figuring out the way to make that homework, make that work, make whatever it is take up less time in your day, and start filling up your time with the things that you really want to do. And not, some people that might be school or work or whatever it is, if you really enjoy what you do, but I guess I'm not really talking to you if that's you, right? Like if you're already on this, and it's like we're not talking about that. We're talking about people who feel they don't have enough time to do the shit that they need to do to take steps in their career towards their dreams, towards their goals, and make the excuse that they don't have enough time. I guess that's a sort of a good point to keep bringing back up on this episode, is that people love to say, I don't have enough time for that. I'm too busy, this and that. No, not nobody. A lot of people who say that shit are not too busy. They're just not. Like, there's no fucking way you go to school for, I don't know how many hours a week, 15, 16 hours a week. And I'm not going to do the math right now because I'm not good at math, because obviously. But there's a lot more time in your day than a lot of people give credit for. And they'll use that time for the relaxation portion. Because how easy is it to sit down and watch Netflix for 4 hours? A lot of shows have hour-long episodes. That's 4 episodes. That's not that bad. You know what I mean? So it's like one of the easiest things to do with your day is waste it, I feel like. What were you going to say?
What I was going to say was you were talking about how it's very easy to feel like you have no time. I think that you're very busy. I think that's mainly because if you have poor time management, and like we were talking about, if you're not somebody that structures your day and figures out what you're going to be doing tomorrow, today, so to speak, then when you wake up and you complete 2 or 3 things, like let's say you have to take out the trash and complete a homework assignment, you'll be able to convince yourself, 1, that you're tired, and 2, that you need time to, like we said, recharge or rest and watch 4 episodes of some show on Netflix for stupid amounts of time, because you don't really have a grasp on your use of time.
Yeah. So Ben's pretty much saying, if you can't hear that very well, can you hear yourself when you talk like that, or can you really not?
That's why I took off the headphones. I couldn't hear myself.
No. I just mean like I want to know how well they can hear you, because I want to repeat what you're saying if they can't hear you very well. You know what I'm saying?
It's very minute. They might be able to hear me.
Okay, well, basically, if you didn't hear, Ben's pretty much saying that the reason a lot of people have this issue that we're talking about right now is because they don't have the time management skills to know they're wasting the time that they're wasting. They're spending the time doing the task that they think they have to do, and then to them, the rest of their day is fuck off time, and that's free time. There's nothing wrong with that to them. And it's like, if you don't have any goals and if you don't have any aspirations, fine, do that shit. But you know, that's not who this show is for. So I don't know why I keep bringing up that shit. So yeah, bringing it back to the original question of this section, the reason it's so important is, you know, should be obvious if you thought about it, but learning to know if you're wasting time. You won't know that unless you start breaking down your day and figuring out how many hours you spend doing watching TV, how many hours you spend doing homework, how many hours you spend at work, how many hours you spend at this and that. It's once you break those things down and you start to really audit your time and take a good look at how much time you're putting into different things, you will realize that you have a lot more time than you think you did to do the shit that you want to do. So I feel like that's a pretty good point to make there. Let me see what else I have under this specific thing. So yeah, so we already talked about, you know, you really have to make each day count, and I've sort of touched on it. I guess that's sort of what this whole thing is, but that's how I feel, at least. At the end of the day, if I don't feel like I made the day count, I truly regret that day. And not regret, but I regret that I didn't do more. You know what I mean? So making each day count, because, you know, life is a lot shorter than I think we all like to believe it is. And not necessarily that, you know, we all turn like 100 and then it's just like, oh, I there's so much shit that I wanted to do and then I couldn't. But a lot of people have that situation, and I feel like you know, having a finite amount of time puts a fire under a lot of our asses, right? So knowing that you won't live forever is a big component in getting shit done every day. And a lot of people don't think about that. And I'm not saying wake up every morning like I'm going to die in exactly 80,000 days, but, you know, always having your mortality in mind puts a fire under your ass, in my opinion. And that's sort of, I guess, what allows me to structure my days and really want to get so much shit done every day. Is like, I'm a person who thinks about my mortality a lot. I'm a person who thinks about death, what'll happen after death, etc., etc. I'm a person who just contemplates that weird existential shit all the time. And, you know, like, it's not a downer for me. It's quite the opposite, because I think, like, after every day, like I said at the very beginning of this section, you want to sit down at the end of the day and know that you made your day count, because you only have a certain number of them. There will be a point when that number is literally, you know, within, you know, 2 digits, right? And that's fucking crazy to think about, but you have a finite number of days and you want to make every single one count. So that's why time management is important. Yeah, and I'll touch one last thing on there, because I had this note in there. You know, this sort of goes with the compounding practice thing. If you aren't taking, or I'm gonna say that better. If you're not taking steps every day towards your goals, towards whatever your aspirations are, every single day, if you're not doing at least one task that will accumulate to that goal, or putting in 1 hour to a skill that you would like to be very good at, I feel like it's just not, I don't know. I feel like you really have to make progress towards your goals every day or every 2 days, but on a regular basis. You got to make actual steps, not just like, oh yeah, I, you know, wrote down some stuff. Like you really need to be like, okay, like, what is this thing I want to get done? I want to record and release a project, right? What are the things that I really need to get done? Okay, do I have all the gear I need? If you don't, that's okay. I'm not gonna go too deep into that. I need to start writing. I need to write one song today. Maybe you don't need to write one song every day, but you set your days and you're like, okay, I'm gonna write one song today, and that's a step towards that project. If you scrap that song, it's a step, because then the next day you'll write another song. The next day you'll write another song, and the songs will get better. And this is not the practice episode, so I'm gonna stop it there. But you get what I mean. Taking steps towards your goals every single day is super important, and finding the time every day to take those steps and to put the time in that these skills and these goals really deserve, because they're not going to give you the reward that you're seeking unless you give them the time they deserve. So that's that. Why is time management important? I just said it. What's the next bullet point we have? Like the next section.
It's more about how to manage your time.
Yeah, so this is more of I'm just going to sort of tell you guys about exactly what I do to manage my time. So firstly, I think the first thing I wrote in there, order doesn't matter in this case, but pretty much at the beginning of every day, and this is like I'm sure I've mentioned this in other episodes, this is sort of just a general productivity tip. The way that I make sure I'm getting shit done every day is every day I have a to-do list, right? The amount of things doesn't necessarily matter. What matters is how significant those things are, So it's like if I have only 3 things on my daily to-do list, but they all are like things that I've been trying to do for a minute, or things that will accumulate towards something that I know like within the next coming weeks is like serious, like, you know what I mean? If I'm putting in the actual time, if each of these 3 tasks takes me 3 hours, then like that's a significant amount of time. I start every day with a to-do list, and like I said, that can be pretty much in any form that you want it to be. It doesn't need to be a to-do list. It doesn't need to be that specific shit, but it's every morning writing down would be the best way to do it, because just thinking about it is not an easy way to remember that shit. It's figuring out what can I do today to take steps towards my goals, right? And writing that shit down. Or if you work better on a weekly basis, every Monday or whatever your day is, write down what can I do this week? What are my goals? First of all, you should know this. I don't know your goals. And what are the steps that I need to take towards this? And then spread those steps out across however many days, right? And so that's the first part. That's the general part, is figuring out what the goals are. We talked about this on the goals episode. We already sort of talked about this. But you have to give yourself a minimum amount of time to do this shit, right? You can't just be like, I'm going to write this song, sit down, write a line, and then be like, I wrote part of the song. Check that off the list. It's like you have to say, I'm going to write for 30 minutes. And after those 30 minutes, if all you have is one line, fair enough, right? That's the name of the game. But you put in the 30 minutes. If you're sitting on your phone for the 30 minutes and you weren't really writing and you were slacking off, you need to hold yourself accountable for that. We talked about this, I'm pretty sure, on the last episode. It might have been like, I don't remember which episodes is which anymore. Like, shit is jumbled up in my head. But I think on last episode we talked about holding yourself accountable for this shit, and that's super important when managing your time correctly, right? If you have a task and you say, I'm going to do this for this amount of time, and you dick off for that entire time, and you don't really sit down and put in the work, or the work during the time that, you said you would, you need to redo it. You need to do those 30 minutes over again, because that's not putting 30 minutes into 30 productive minutes. That's not putting 30 productive minutes into the goal that you're reaching towards. That's really just and it's really easy to do this. I feel like at the beginning of, I guess, I don't know what to call this, your productivity journey, whatever it is, your self-starter journey, whatever this is, it's really difficult to hold yourself accountable for shit like this. So like setting a timer and not necessarily putting in as much focus as you should during those 30 minutes. But, you really have to hold yourself accountable for this shit. So you need to put in 30 focused minutes, if that's what you set. Example, 30 focused minutes into writing this song. And if you were legitimately sitting there staring at this page, fucking just like trying your hardest to think of this shit for 30 minutes and all you got out was a line, fair enough. Like I said, that's the name of the game. But at least you put in the time and the effort that you needed to do that. So setting time, minimum time for tasks throughout your day, I think is really important. You need to set a minimum time to just sit there and to put in the time that this task deserves, right? Because otherwise, I don't have any suggestions for getting better at things except for putting in the time, because people nowadays especially love to just look at the greatest people in this and that and just give their 2 cents and be like, oh, he's only good because of this, he's only good because he's genetically gifted, he's only good this and that. I guarantee you 90% of the people that you look up to and are truly, and you think they're really gifted and you think they got this shit overnight. I'm not saying you, but the world, how the world observes them is like, those people put in the time. Like, they actually put in the time. And like, you don't see that shit, and you probably never will see that shit, because why would you? They're not going to show you them grinding day after day. But that's why we talk about the 10,000 hour theory. I talk about that a lot, and a lot of people talk about that a lot, because it's true. If you put in, this is actually like a study, if you put in 10,000 hours into one thing, then typically you get to the point of I forget exactly what the wording is, but you could pretty much be a professional at that. You have accumulated that skill, and you are not a master, but you're really good at that. You're at a significant point. That is a significant landmark in any skill. If you completed over 10,000 hours of one thing, playing guitar, singing, writing songs, I was going to go into like random other examples. Skateboarding, fucking painting, photography. If you put in 10,000 hours, I don't know how many days that is. I wish I did like more research on this specific subject, the 10,000 hour theory. Just say it. 416 days. 416 days total, right? Like you put in, say, there are more calculations in other things I've read that are like, if you put in 3 hours a day for approximately 10 years, I think what it is actually. 3 hours a day for 10 years, you will be like a master at whatever that skill is. And so that's a long fucking time, but you will never, ever, 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 ever get to that point if you don't manage your time correctly. It just won't happen, because 3 hours a day is a lot, right? And sometimes you could do even more than that. And people have periods like the Beatles had this period in why can't I remember what it's called? Do you know what the place in Hamburg, Germany? They had a period in Hamburg, Germany where they pretty much played really, really long shows, like 6-7 hour shows, multiple times a day. Like just back to back to back, literally just playing, not necessarily even their own songs, but they were just playing songs. And that's the period when the people who have researched the Beatles and other outliers, you should read the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, by the way, that shit is fucking insane. And that's where, this whole thing is coming from. They have that period where the people who have researched the Beatles, and there's a lot of different periods like this for different people, read the book Outliers. This is the period where things changed, right? This is the period where they went from just a band from Liverpool to some seriously talented musicians who, with their own creativity and with their own images and with their own whatever truly took them to the places that they went, it made them that good. It made them good enough to where they could skyrocket. You know what I mean? Their skill level was at the point where it wasn't questioned. It couldn't be questioned because they had put in so much time that into performing live on stage and just their instruments in general. And both those things were so important for musicians back in the day. Performing is not nearly as important nowadays. You could just lip sync a track and people would go crazy. But you get what I mean, right? It's like, put in the time that this shit deserves, or I don't know that you'll make significant progress in it. So that's what we were talking about, the sort of putting in the time every day, right? We went on a little tangent. My bad, y'all. That's kind of what this podcast is about, though. Revelations. Having revelations. Yeah, what's up? Shu and Aiden are here. My boys are here. Welcome to the show. Yeah. Welcome to the show. They say anything significant?
Shu said the kid, and Aiden said what's up.
Just saying what's up. What's up, boys? All right, so I got sidetracked. I need to figure out what's happening right now. So we talked about setting to-do lists. We talked about setting goals for or time goals, right? You need to set minimum times for each task that you do throughout the day. And then also another thing that you sort of have to do is set a time limit on the time wasting activities such as Netflix, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, right? Like we could go down the fucking list. There's so many time wasting shits you have on your phone right now that you probably use. Like, look at your fucking whatever that thing is at the end of the week where it tells you how many hours you spent on each app, bro. Holy shit. That shit puts it into perspective, right? Like, I'd be a professional, probably not. I would probably be a professional Instagrammer if that were a skill, right? I'd probably put 10,000 hours into Instagram. Or more likely YouTube, because like the length of the videos. But like, it's crazy how much time wasting shit there is that's so easily accessible for all of us every single day. And 20 years ago, none of that shit was accessible. It's like you could waste your time watching TV, maybe, you know. Of course you could. Not maybe. You could waste your time watching TV, reading a book, this, that. But generally, it's like you would find more shit to do, I feel like. But I wasn't alive, so I can't really say that. Anyway, I'm gonna take it back because I keep going on these tangents. You really gotta set time limits on that bullshit, because, and if it's at, like, we'll talk about this a little bit later. If it's at night and you're going to bed or whatever, and you're finishing your day and you're rapping and you got all those things done, whatever, you don't need to set a time limit for whatever it is you're doing because you're fucking going to sleep. But if it's the middle of the day and you still got shit to do, and you find yourself on YouTube, TikTok, etc., that's not necessarily a bad thing. You can let yourself have breaks, but you got to set a time limit on that shit, because we all of us know how easy it is to get sucked in that rabbit hole, bro. I know you do. I do. He does. That rabbit hole is fucking, that shit will suck you in. Alice in Wonderland, bro. That will suck you in. And it's easy. It's really, 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 really easy. But easier for some of us, harder for some of us. It's something you can really do is like set a timer. We just said this for like the goals part. It's like set like a 20-minute timer. So it's like, I'm just going to spend 20 minutes watching YouTube videos, and then I'll get back to working on what this is. And then at the end of the day, you can let go, and you don't need to set a timer for your YouTube or whatever. But throughout a day, when you're awake, when you're productive, when your mind is active, when you can think objectively, and when you can think clearly, and when you can get things done, that's the time when you shouldn't be wasting. That's the time you shouldn't be wasting, rather. So yeah, I think that's also another tip that I do, is like, whenever I find myself going off of whatever the actual thing is that I whoa, just had a stroke. Whatever it is I was doing, when I find myself logging off, or find myself stepping away from my laptop when recording or whatever, I really have to set a timer for whatever it is I find myself on. Netflix, YouTube, etc. I'm not going to keep giving all these examples. You guys get what I mean? So yeah. Set a time limit for that time wasting bullshit. And that can be a lot of things. And, if you're somebody who doesn't use social media like that, like, good for you, for real. Like, that shit is so hard to not use for me, like, because the real reason I still have social media, I would have been deleted all this shit, is because, like, I need it. Not all of it, but I need Instagram for the music shit. I just still have Snapchat because I'm a fucking addict. But you guys get what I mean, right? If you are somebody who just generally, like, doesn't find themselves attracted to those social media platforms, you're seriously blessed. And if you can find a way to just start using them less and doing more of more productive shit, that's and I've found myself doing that more and more. A little tip for that is, like, turning off notifications. I turn my notifications for Instagram and Snapchat off, because if I see a notification this person followed me, if I see a notification I was tagged in this, if I see a notification, etc., 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 I'm pretty much automatically going to swipe and just see what's good with it, whether I even care. And then guess what? I'm on my homepage. And guess what? I'm scrolling for 35 minutes. So, we all been there. I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying. Set a time limit whenever you find yourself drifting, right? Just be like, okay, whatever it is you want to do. If you want 30 minutes, I wouldn't recommend 30 minutes, but if you want 30 minutes, do it. But then make sure you put in, an hour into the actual shit that you're supposed to be doing. Or you could do it even slower than that. You know what I mean? If you're, like I said earlier, if you're new to this journey, that shit is difficult. So you could do much less significant than that. Like, you could set, let's say I want to put 25 minutes into this task. Let's say I want to play guitar for 25 minutes, and then I want to go on fucking TikTok for 10 minutes, right? I feel like you need to structure your day to the point where you're not necessarily stressed out through the entire day, feeling like you need to get things done and you need to take breaks and you need to get things done and you need to take breaks. You want to figure out a flow that works for you, whether that's getting most of your shit done in the morning and then having only a few tasks for the evening, or the other way around works for you more. It's like you really have to feel out your day and know how that's going to work for you. Because, I can't suggest exactly what I do, but I like to get the most shit done earliest on in the day. Because I want to do the more relaxing shit at the end of the day. I want to make music at the end of the day. So I want to get the shit that I really need to get done earlier on in the day. So yeah. And then another part of developing good time management is developing good habits, right? And trying to get rid of all of your bad ones. Because in terms of time, and I guess this definitely ties into what we just said, we all have a lot of habits that when it comes to wasting time, I feel like. For me, the best example I could give would be YouTube, right? It's like when I find myself not necessarily recording, because I really get lost in recording more than anything. When I find myself, doing some school shit or doing anything that's not music pretty much, I find myself just, when I get something done, I'm right on YouTube, and then instead of setting a timer like I just said you were supposed to do, it would just be like, oh, I'm going to just watch this 15-minute video. So it's 15 minutes, that's my timer. Bad habit. Should have set that timer, because guess what? After that video's done, I'm watching another one. Because I didn't have a timer that was like, beep, 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 time's up. It was just like, video's over, next. Like, that wasn't even in my brain anymore. It was 15 minutes later, and I was thinking about whatever this video is. So that's a horrible habit of mine, right? Is just going on these YouTube rabbit holes and getting sucked in. So, yes, setting good habits every day. And a good habit would be setting that timer, right? Or a good habit would be whenever you get up in the morning, having a single task, right? to do, or like let's say 30 minutes of writing, whether that's writing music, writing a paper, poem, whatever, is, every morning you wake up and do 30 minutes of writing, and then you have a dub for the day, pretty much, right? It's like you already have your first dub of the day, and that's, to me, that's the most gratifying feeling is waking up and first thing you get some shit done, because then for the rest of your day you feel like, oh, that shit was so easy. Like, I got the shit done right when I woke up. Now I can go through the rest of my day and just get more shit done. When you start out your day watching YouTube, like I do sometimes, it pretty much just forces you to stay in bed for another hour, because then you're like, oh, I'm still in bed. Technically, I don't need to be up doing anything right now. I'm just going to watch YouTube for, 10, 15 minutes and get up. And then you're on YouTube for an hour and a half. And, yeah. So don't start your day with social media of any kind is a tip that I would give. And I feel like everybody does that. So I'm not, saying that I don't do that, right? I think that's just a tip that I'm going to try and follow myself, and we'll see what happens. But starting your day off with social media, I think, it's a really easy way to start your day off feeling kind of gross, whether you're comparing yourself to others or just seeing some toxic shit. Like, it's just so easy to go sideways on social media, in my opinion. Not even that you notice it anymore, right? It's like, I barely notice it anymore. I see that I'll go, I'm on academics, and I just see some random picture of some rapper that's like, oh, this rapper gave $10,000 to charity, right? I hit the comments. First comment is, who the fuck is this nigga? It's like, he just donated $10,000 to a charity. It's like, why does it matter who he is? Couldn't you have just said some nice shit? Like, and that's not even like, it's not like I see that and go, oh, my day's ruined, that dude's a dick. I just see that and I think, like, wow, what a fucking asshole. And then that energy is just in my brain. And whether you believe in like the energy or not, it's like that thought affects you, whether you want to think that way or not. So yeah, good habits, healthy habits, forming habits that allow you to get more out of each day, to feel more productive each day, and ultimately to manage your time better, right? So that is my tips for better time management. What's the next topic, man? So I think this is sort of what I was talking about. So this next topic is time is money. Wow, we're already 45 minutes in. Damn. That's crazy. If you're still here, thanks for sticking around. We've been rambling. Has anybody said anything?
Aiden was the last one to say.
Bet. If you're still here, thanks for sticking around. These episodes are pretty long, and if you have shit to get done, then go and do it. It would be wise in light of today's theme that you manage your time wisely and listen to this while you're working out or on a drive or something, right? That's another tip, right? It's like if you have something that you can watch or listen to while you're doing something else, do that. Like, I do that sometimes. I have a thing I like to listen to new music pretty much every day, like a new album, or just a new artist or something. And I do that shit while I'm working out. And like I've certain other shit that's like, say like I'm trying to think what else I could listen to like podcasts and shit, but I wouldn't say that that's like a daily task, right? Like, that's not necessarily something you could do well. No, yeah, right. So maybe that was pointless. I don't fucking know. So time is money. We all know this, right? But I think that something that we all don't think about every day is how literal that statement is, right? It's not like my time right now is worth legitimate money. But my time in general, the time I spend every single day fucking off on certain tasks, is going to come back and bite me in the ass at some point, right? Financially and literally, right? It's like I won't be as good at the things that I want to be good at, and I won't have as much money because ultimately, in my opinion, maybe this isn't true, I don't know, all the time that I'm putting into the music and all the time that I'm putting into all this other shit is going to come back and repay me financially at some point in the future. Not that that's why I do it, but, you know, I think wasting time is a really easy way to... This shit is fucking annoying. Got it. It's just too low. I feel like I have to lean down to talk. What was I saying? Yeah, so I feel like ultimately, whatever it is you're doing, if you're dicking off, you're wasting money, right? And not that that's the most important thing, but it's something to think about if you care about your future success and the lifestyle of your offspring, right? So what are you saying, Ben?
I was gonna say staying home.
Oh, bet. What's up, man? Glad you still with us. So yeah, I had more notes on that. My only note wasn't that time is money. I have more shit on this.
A waste of time is ultimately a waste of money, and further down the line you realize.
Yeah, that was a thing I touched on a little bit earlier. Is I think you can't get time back. Time is the one quantity, the one resource. It's physically impossible to get back, right?
It's also man-made.
Is it? What do you mean?
The whole
Concept of time. That's true.
That's man-made.
That is true.
So really, I mean, could you lose something that we made?
Ben said time, the concept of time is technically man-made, so how can we lose time if we invented it? Oh, it hurts my brain. Yeah, you're right though. And ultimately, like I said, you know, when you're 95 and you're on your deathbed, or maybe we'll all live to be 150, that would be kind of cool, huh? Or older. What if we all live forever? That'd be crazy. Live on Mars. Elon, if you're listening, hook me up, bro. We can't get the time back, right? It's if there's things that you wanted to get done and you're 95 and that's the one thing that you can't get back. Like, there are certain things that you can spend money, you can spend what else can you spend? You can spend money. You can fucking, like, I'm trying to think of like a really thoughtful example here, but I'm blanking. It's like that's all it is, really. And I think if you have to sacrifice current money, yeah, you could spend energy. That's what I was looking for. You could spend energy on things, you could spend time on things, you could spend money on things, and I think that if you have to put one of those things, or save one of those things and make use of one of them the most, it has to be your time, right? Because there's like memes I've seen of this where it's like, when you're old you have money, and wait, when you're old you have money. Yeah. When you're young you have time but no money. When you're middle-aged you have I forget what it is now.
You have money, but no time to enjoy the money, and then when you're dead.
Yeah. When you're old, you have no time, but you have money. When you're young, you have energy, but no.
When you're old.
Oh my God.
When you're old, you
I'm completely butchering
money,
this.
but you're out of time, right? Like you're done for, right? When you're middle aged, you might have the money, but you're too busy acquiring, I guess, like the money to enjoy like the fruits of your labor. And when you're young, you have no money and plenty of time.
Yeah, I completely butchered that. I think you guys get what I mean, though. You know, I think we all have some common sense here. Yeah, all I'm really trying to say is that at the end of the day, the one thing you can't get back is time. And I think if you're going to put anything into what you want, into your goals and your dreams. Rather than it being money, have it be energy and time, right? Because those are the things that you're not going to be able to get back. But I guess this is a much deeper and more philosophical conversation than we're going to go into right now. But it's really just about knowing what's important to you, right? Knowing what's important to get done for you each day. Knowing what's important to spend time on or who to spend time with, etc., etc. Like that's what all of this comes down to is, I don't know what you are going to spend all your time and energy on. All I know is my shit, and obviously that's what this show is about. But yeah, it's really important to think about that shit and to be objective with yourself about how you are spending your current time and whether that is how you want to be spending your current time. Because at the end of the day, it's not like you can turn the clock back unless we invent time travel. Elon, hit me. Yeah. That is that. I feel like that was such a short a topic, but yeah, the whole concept of time is money is a little bit. I named the episode that because I like the overall title, but money isn't what we're talking about here, right? It's time on your passions and times with your loved ones. It's not like we're talking like this isn't a financial show. I'm not like, if you spend 20 minutes watching YouTube, you're going to lose approximately $6,000 in 10 years. It's like, that's not what I care about here. It's like, I'm talking about wasting time on bullshit versus spending time on the things that are going to create the future that you desire, right? That's all I was trying to say. So, our last little topic right here, and I talk about this on a lot of episodes, and I feel like it's important to talk about, especially when I go on like a whole episode where I'm talking about, spend only 20 minutes watching YouTube every day, and don't waste your time. Like, there is a point at the end of every day where you kind of have to know you got the shit done that you wanted to get done, and you don't need to keep going, because there's such thing as burnout. Burnout is very real. I've experienced it. I'm sure a lot of people have experienced it. And it's important not to start to hate the shit that you love to do. You know what I mean? And to cut it when you're no longer feeling it, right? And after you've already gotten all these things done, and to allow yourself to relax and not necessarily think about that thing and focus on that thing always, unless you're obsessed with it and you're okay with being obsessed with it, right? For me, it's like I'm always thinking about something in terms of music in one way or another, but I don't allow myself to always be stressed about my next post, my next song, my next this, my next that, because I would lose my fucking shit. Like, I would blow my brains out if I was always stressed about that shit. And I always am in the back of my head stressed about something when it comes to all those things, but I've gotten to a point where I have other shit to do, right? I have other tasks throughout the day that I'm getting done, so I know I'm getting things done, so I don't have to stress about all that shit, because I know that ultimately all the time that I'm putting into all these different things every day is going to heed the results that I desire, right? I'm not just like sitting around every day thinking, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? What should I do? I know I'm putting in this many hours into, I'm putting 2 hours into guitar, I'm putting 3 hours into beat making, putting an hour into mixing, putting an hour into vocals, etc., etc. Like, it's just knowing that you got these things done, and then you can actually allow yourself to relax, because you need that ultimately. Like, and you don't need 4 hours of it at 12 in the afternoon, is what I'm trying to say here. Is you need that time of relaxation when you deserve it. You can give yourself those hours when you've put in the hours to deserve it, right? I was trying to think of a different way to say that, but I think that was good enough. Yeah, that's definitely important, I think, is, having that relaxation time and knowing when to take breaks. And the next little, just the bullet point I have in here is not doing unnecessary shit, right? It's like looking at certain tasks you might have throughout the day, or certain things that you think are important that ultimately are attributing to the waste of time that you have, to the lack of things you're getting done every day. So yeah, you gotta objectively look at every single day. Not like you sit down and every day and do, this is what I did, this is what I did, this. But I feel like everybody has a sort of general daily schedule. And looking at your daily schedule and determining if you're spending the right amount of time, and right, what constitutes right, that's up to you. Spending the proper amount of time on the things that deserve the proper amount of time. Yeah. Keep repeating myself. Yeah, on God. Staying home said balance is key. Balance is key. Can't allow yourself to be a complete psychopath and always working, but you also can't allow yourself to be a lazy shit. And that's why this episode is about time management, right? Yeah. Balance is key. Staying home is correct on that one, 100p. What was the last bullet point I had on this one that we just did? Knowing when to end your day. Yeah, so I guess I've sort of touched on that like throughout this whole thing, but I'll just wrap pretty much the entire episode up with, and this I guess attaches to the beginning of the episode as well. When you have a number of tasks and an amount of time that you want to spend on these individual tasks, and you want to spread all these things out, and you want to truly make your day as productive as possible, there comes a point when you can end that day and you can say, I've got all the things done that I wanted to get done, so now I'm a step closer to each of these different goals that I have. And that's one of the best feelings in the world to me. Is there's a lot of days where I don't get everything done that I want to get done, and the days that I really get everything done that I set out to accomplish during the day, those are easily the best days for me, because I know I really got that shit done, and I know I'm a step closer to the shit the place that I aspire to be at. So yeah, that's ultimately it. You got to be objective with yourself. You got to hold yourself accountable, and you got to know when to give yourself a break. So yeah, I think that about wraps it on this episode. We're almost at an hour. This episode felt really fast. It was really just a lot of talking about real shit for me, right? Because like this is the shit that I deal with on a day-to-day basis, is managing my time and figuring out how to waste less time and to put more time into the things that I need to do every day to become better at an instrument, to become better at mixing, to become better at singing, to become better at making beats, etc. Just to make every day count, right? That's like another really good title for this episode that I might change it to that, because honestly, the time is money part was much less significant than I kind of assumed it would be to this episode. So yeah, make every day count, and knowing where to put your time and energy, right? I feel like that's very important, and it's hard to do for a lot of people. So just, set time, minimum times for doing tasks every day, whether it's mixing, and know what those tasks are, and truly think about whether those tasks are important for you or not. And then set time limits on wasting time throughout the day. Setting all those tasks every day. I think we've definitely talked about that on the goals episode, that like specific thing. So if you want to hear a little bit more about setting tasks and setting goals and accomplishing those goals, go watch the goals episode. I think it's called What's Your Mountain? And yeah, just, really looking at if you feel you're not productive right now, if you feel you're not getting enough done every day right now, and I don't know why you'd be watching this if you felt you were getting enough done every day, but yeah, just, be objective with yourself. Look at your day. What am I spending too much time on? What am I spending too little time on? What could I literally cut in half in terms of time? And are there tasks throughout my day that I could cut completely? Where am I wasting time? And yeah. Wally is dying in the back. So we got to take him to the hospital, and we'll wrap that episode up now so he doesn't go into cardiac arrest. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Revelations episode 16. Time is money, but I might change the title to make every day count. I don't know. You'll see. Is the title different than right now than when you're going to watch it in 2 days? I don't know. Maybe. I couldn't tell you. So, don't forget to like this stream, video, show, podcast. If you haven't yet, we're trying to finesse this algorithm. Drop a comment if you're watching this after the fact. Subscribe to my channel just because I'd like you to. And hit that notification bell if you want to hear whenever we're doing stuff. Yeah, if you want to catch us live and you didn't catch us live tonight, every Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Shut Up with Lil Terror, out now on all platforms. Thank you guys for coming. Have a good night. Be safe. Don't drink and drive. I love you guys. Peace out. Bow. That's like, I need to give, I mean, I guess I am better at it now. It's like, when something's bullshit, it's like, you can grab it and make it funnier. Like, if somebody is on your show and they, like, sneeze or something like that, you're like, blow up? Or something like that. Like